Hey guys, this is Sage Valentine, and this is my review of The Walking Dead Season 5, Episode 11, entitled The Distance. So what did I think about this particular episode? It was a good one. It was an emotional one. There were some scenes that kind of made me sad a little bit, especially the scene when Aaron and Eric reunited. It was kind of heartbreaking because in this show, whenever two people are really in love or people reunite and things seem like they're okay, they always tend to throw a monkey wrench in there to really make us cry. And I'm not going to spoil it for anybody, but just so you know, that's was like on my mind in that particular scene, which is probably why I was a little bit teary-eyed. What else did I really like about this episode? How Rick doesn't trust Aaron when he meets him, and I don't blame him after everything that he has endured, after everything that the group has gone through. I smiled when they all began to ante up as soon as he came into the barn with Sasha and Maggie. I thought that was pretty cool how Michonne was like, listen, if this dude is saying that he has, a car or something, let me go look for this car. And Rick was like, And then Maggie's like, let me go, I'll go with her. And Rick was like, no. And then Glenn was like, I'll do it. And then I want to go too. And Rick was like, listen, Abe, Rosita, can you guys go with them? In other words, I don't want anything happening to my family here, so can you guys protect them? And thank God they were there, because as soon as this little quintet went out and went to find, the cars, the whole thing with Aaron, and he said the cars were like 2 clicks up the road or something like that. And they found the car and they found the RV. All of a sudden they thought that they were meeting somebody else, and they're just like thinking, oh, this is an ambush, and all it was like a bunch of walkers. And it was pretty cool how Abraham and Rosita sprung into action. But did anybody notice that something was weird about Rosita? In that scene, when she saved him, she was kind of acting a little bit strange, a little bit weird. Maybe this is echoing something later. For those of you who read the comic books that know, you know where I'm going. For those of you that don't, we're in for it for that particular character. You'll see. It'll surprise you the way things are going, but you will see. And it was pretty cool, like another scene when Rick is left there at the barn alone because he sent the other part of the group out there to make sure nobody was in the area after Michonne and the crew, the other crew left. And how Judith started crying, and Aaron was talking to Rick, and he told Rick that I have, applesauce, you could give it to little Judith. It's crazy though how he knows the names, but then like of every character for the most part, but then you start realizing that apparently this dude, even before they show you the spying equipment that he used, you could tell that he's been following them for a while. Does that mean he's been following them since season 1? No. But it's safe to say that he could have been following them since after they left the church. Could have seen them near Terminus. I don't know. This is just me coming out of left field. This is my opinion on that. So Aaron, tells Rick that he has some applesauce there to give Judith, because obviously Judith is hungry, and feeding her acorns is not going to cut it. This kid is screaming her head off, and child screaming, walkers. So Aaron tells him, listen, give that applesauce to Judith, which Rick is still iffy, and he takes a spoonful of that applesauce and basically is about to give it to Aaron when Aaron tells him, I can't eat it. I hate applesauce. My mom was a sick woman. She used to make me eat these manly foods. As soon as he said manly, as soon as he said sick woman, as soon as he said something along the lines of fixing me, that is when I knew that Aaron was gay. Those were the clear signs that she was trying to change him. Because there are some sick people in this world. For those of you who don't know, there are some sick people in this world. If you watch Empire, you know that people, or you should know that people like Lucius Lyon in that first episode, someone has dealt with that. Things like that exist. But I digress. So Aaron eats the applesauce. He doesn't die, and Rick is like, okay, well, I guess I can feed this to Judith. Michonne. She believes in Aaron. She wants the group to go back to this community. She's tired of running, tired of looking over her shoulder. Everybody's tired. They're dirty. This is like literally the group at rock bottom at this point, because usually they have a place to stay. I mean, it's not perfect, but they have a place to stay, and they're somewhat clean and fed, but now they have nothing. Staying in this barn, and if they don't go with Aaron, God knows where the hell they're gonna go. And the group seems to agree with her, especially Daryl, which I find pretty funny, because Daryl was just like talking about you know, the barn smelling like horse poop, and I was cracking up. So Rick listens to Michonne and the group, but mostly he was listening to Michonne. And Rick basically asks Aaron, how can we get to your compound? And Aaron's like, no, I usually do the driving. He's like, no, we're not going to walk into a trap. You're going to tell us how to go. And so Aaron tells them they need to take Route 16, and Rick wants to take Route 23 because he doesn't want this group that Aaron's a part of to see them coming. Well, it turns out to be a bad idea, because while the group is basically split up with the majority of the group in the RV, and Rick, Michonne, Aaron, and Glenn in the car, Glenn takes his eyes off the road for 1 minute, drives into a mile-long zombie herd, probably the longest herd that we've seen in in any season, and literally goes through it and just hits a whole bunch of walkers and ends up clogging every orifice of the transmission to the point where the car stalls. Then Aaron sees a flare, takes off running. The group goes after him. Michonne and Rick are fighting side by side. It's a straight Rickone moment for all the Rickone shippers. Glenn's trying to find, you know, Aaron, and almost meets his maker with a walker. Then he sees Aaron, he frees Aaron, and Aaron and Glenn manage to come around and save Michonne and Rick. That seem like it's not looking too good for these two badasses. So the group reconvenes again at the water tower where Aaron saw the flare. And there's a lot of hugs and everything, but the sweetest moment had to be between Aaron and his boyfriend Eric. As I said in the beginning of this episode, I knew that Aaron was gay. I read it last week in the Walking Dead Wiki. So this was no surprise to me. I thought it was pretty cool. I thought that scene when they embraced and they kissed, it was sweet. I'm all for representation. Let's get it going. So, anyways, to make a long story short, the group is on the road again in the morning, because clearly leaving at night is not a good idea, Rick. Not a good one. So they're driving in the RV because the car is shot. And then all of a sudden, Abraham thinks that they could make it with a low battery as they're driving, and it doesn't work. And this is one of the saddest, I think this is an even sadder scene, when Abraham is upset because they can't find, he figures that the group can't find a battery for this thing. They're stuck on the side of the road. He seems like the group, or he feels like the group can never get a break. And here comes Glenn, and Glenn shows him where the extra batteries are on the side of the RV. And all I can think about is Dale. Rest in peace, Dale. I miss his character so much. When people start talking about how characters, their favorites died, Dale was one of my favorites, definitely. So, just so you know, Dale taught him all about the RV and everything. So, Michonne tries to convince Rick, to let his guard down and just, go into this compound. Let's just live here. And Rick was like, just give me a minute. He takes his gun, goes over to this, house that's nearby, puts his gun in, this blender jar thingy. I can't remember what it's called. and puts the cover on it. I hope that Rick didn't leave his gun there, because that would be foolish. Hopefully he's taking that jar thingy with him. But if he left his gun there and he has to run back, oh Lord, because it's echoing what happened in season 4 and how Rick kind of put his guard down a little bit, and you see what happened with the governor popping up and everything else. So, which was probably inevitable anyway, even if he had his guard back up. But then again, if Michonne had been able to, you know, find him and everything, and she hadn't given up. But you can't blame her either, because once I figured out the governor was alive, I figured he was going to find his way back anyway. So, to the prison, I mean. So, to make a long story short, they make it to the gates and of the compound, and Rick can hear laughter and people talking and children. And you could see, like, the glimmer in his eyes. And for those of you who missed this in the episode, earlier in the episode, he mentioned to Michonne, remember when we made it to Woodbury, what did you hear? Nothing. Remember when we made it to Terminus, what did you hear? She said, nothing. So now, I guess, now Rick sees that maybe he could be comfortable here. Maybe he could be okay here. Maybe this is something awesome at Alexandria. So Michonne puts her hand on his when he's holding the steering wheel, and she says, you ready? He says, yeah. And as everybody gets out the car, they're standing there waiting for them to open up the gates. Here comes Carol with the best quote of the episode when she says, even though you were wrong, you were still right. In other words, Rick, yeah, this looks nice, but still keep your guard up. Alright guys, I had fun doing this review with you. Don't forget to rate this video, comment, and subscribe to my brand of crazy. Also, don't forget to check out my Twitter and Google+, Sage Valentine. I gotta get out of here, so bye guys. Love you all. Bye.